Hello, my name is Mike Pontello. This is my wife Sandy. Welcome to our kitchen. Today we're going to be cooking some Sandy's famous cheesecakes. Before we get started, we're going to dedicate this little show to my Uncle Johnny Cash. He was a legend. He passed away last week and we're really going to miss him. I'll be telling some stories about him later on. Sandy, let's get started on these cheesecakes.
Okay, so before I start, I need to tell you just a little story about why I love cheesecake. When I was growing up, there was a Sara Lee cheesecake that you bought in the freezer section, in the grocery store. It was this tall, and it was this big around, and a family of 4, I only got a little sliver. It was just a little bit of graham cracker crust, a little bit of cream cheese filling, and sour cream. So I went to my cousin's shower, a long time ago, and one of her best friends made cheesecake for the shower, and I literally thought I was gonna die and go to heaven because it was so good. And from that cheesecake, I built on to what I make. It takes a big 4-inch pan, springform pan, as you can see. It's not that little Sara Lee cheesecake. I baked 2 cups of graham cracker crust, a half a cup of granulated sugar, and a stick of butter melted, and I pressed it in the pan, and I sprayed Pam, and I baked it in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes, just till it gets good and crunchy. You've got to make sure that the graham crackers has enough moisture. If you don't, it falls apart when you cut it, and then if you have too much, it's gonna be real sticky, runny. So that's why I always bake my cheesecake on a cookie sheet, because you never know what's gonna drip out. Okay, so we've got the 6 8-ounce cream cheese at room temperature. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 cup of granulated sugar. We're just incorporating it. It doesn't have to be beat up, and it's easy. There's nothing hard about making a cheesecake. Do not be afraid, okay? So to this, I'm going to also add a juice of 1 lemon, fresh lemon, and I'm gonna add the rind, just the yellow part of the rind of the lemon, not the white part. Just ever so careful when you're grating that. Okay, so that's incorporating. So then we're gonna scrape down the sides. While we're doing this, we wanna make sure everything gets incorporated well. So we're gonna scrape down the sides, which I'm doing. All right, so we've added the lemon juice and the lemon rind. I'm gonna add a cup of sour cream, a half a cup of heavy cream. We're gonna add that to the mixture slowly. Just slowly, you don't want it splattering everywhere. It's just mixing. It's just getting incorporated. And now I'm gonna add 6 eggs. 6 eggs to this. Okay, so I've got the eggs in. They've all been incorporated. I might just stop it and make sure I've got everything mixed well, scraping down the sides. And we're gonna add now the final ingredients, which are gonna be the extracts. So I've got like 1/4 of a cup here, 1/4 of a cup of limoncello. It'll just give it that really good, fresh, lemony taste. And I have to have my vanilla. And I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of vanilla, because it's such a large cheesecake. It needs the flavor of the vanilla. And to me, a plain cheesecake, a plain vanilla cheesecake, has to have almond extract. There's just something about that almond flavor in a vanilla cheesecake. And so we're gonna incorporate this, and we're gonna get ready to bake it. So now we're ready to pour it into the springform pan. Everything's been mixed and incorporated. There's nothing you have to worry about whipping a certain amount of time and whatever. It's just super simple. It really is. There's nothing scary about it. A lot of people are scared of making a cheesecake. I guess that I love dessert so much that this doesn't scare me. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it, I bake it in different levels of heat. If I bake this at a low level, because it's so thick, it would never cook to where it needs to, or bake to where it needs to be baked. So we're gonna start out at a 350-degree oven. We're gonna just try and get it hot, not to dry it out, for like 20 minutes. Then once we get it down to 350, we're gonna go down to 325 for 30 minutes, 300 for 30 minutes, 275, until it gets to that point where, and everybody's oven works differently, until you know it's not so jiggly. When you're baking it and it gets puffy and it looks like it's cooking on top and you might see it crack, don't worry about it. There's always going to be a topping on top of your cheesecake. It will never look cracked, okay? $350 for 20 minutes just to get it started as far as getting warm, because we've got a really thick cheesecake there.
I want to tell y'all about my Uncle Johnny Cash. He was married to my mother's younger sister, Jeanette. And when I tell you this man was a fabulous man, he was my mentor, my idol. And I got to really spend a lot of time with him before this COVID thing came along. I'd go visit him, and I learned so much about life from Uncle Johnny. One funny story we have, Sandy and I have. When I first brought Sandy in to meet the family, Uncle Johnny had a bay home down in Bay Cliff, Texas. And all the family was there, so I pulled up in my car and we get out, and I knew Uncle Johnny, but he loved to tease. He loved to clown around. So I go up and I introduced him to the family, and this is my Aunt Jeanette, and I said, this is my Uncle Johnny Cash. And right out, the first thing out of his mouth, Michael, who is this? You was with a redhead last week. Who is this girl? And I'm about to crawl under the table, and this one here, you know, she don't know what to say. She takes him serious. So what did you do after Uncle Johnny said that? What was you thinking?
Well, you did tell me before we got to the Bay House, he goes, you know, my Uncle Johnny, he's kind of a little prankster. He loves to tell stories. And so when I heard that, because he and I were already dating for like a month, 2 months, you know, something, a redhead last week, So I kind of thought that he was kidding, but he was really serious. And I thought, when I got in the car, I go, is that really his prankster way?
It was.
Yeah, but he was so nice, and he was so gracious and warm. He was outside working, taking care of the barbecue and the backyard at the Bay House. I mean, he wasn't afraid of hard work and his family. He loved his family.
He always taught me nothing comes free in this life. You work hard, you do good for yourself, and he was a prime example of that. I learned so much about life from him. I'll tell you a story about, 30, 35 years ago, my daughter came down with this real rare blood disease. It's called Gaucher disease. And nobody knew anything about this disease when it came out. And they got this drug out. It was called Ceridase. So this drug cost hundreds of thousands of dollars back then. I was just starting my business, and we were just starting to, get going, and it was like I was on a $1,200 a month premium, insurance premium, $10,000 deductible, and money was kind of tight. We didn't know what the future brought. So after they diagnosed Michael, and a few months went by, and Uncle Johnny, he called me. He said, Michael, I need you to come by the house. I got something to tell you. I said, oh, okay, Uncle Johnny, I'll come by. I went over, and him and Aunt Jeanette, we sat at the table, and Uncle Johnny hands me a blank check signed, John J. Cash. I said, Uncle Johnny, what is this? He says, I want you to use this for whatever you want to take care of Michael. Let me tell you something. I could have put a lot of zeros behind that check. Cut a long story short, I did not use it, but that's how this man was. He was so giving, so generous. He was just one of a kind people. You never meet anybody like him in your life, and I really miss him. He was 91 years old, passed away. He had a great life. He had a wonderful life. Took care of his family, his wife, his kids, grandkids. He was just a special person.
Yep, he is. He is always.
We're going to miss him, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and when the cheesecake has been baked in the oven and is ready to come out, we're going to put 3 cups of sour cream to the top. See, I like that thick sour cream. 1/4 of a cup of sugar and vanilla and almond extract. All of this recipe will be online when you see the video. I cooked this yesterday and we have to refrigerate it after it's been baked. You can't take a cheesecake out of the oven, out of the springform pan. It will fall apart. I've done that before. When the cheesecake comes out of the oven, you take a thin knife, doesn't have to be fancy, just something thin, and you go along the whole edge of it right as it's coming out of the oven. Okay, you're gonna do it again when we take it out like now. It just helps get a really nice edge when you pull it out. We need to leave the baked cheesecake in the refrigerator for 8 to 12 hours or longer, but it's gotta be exceptionally all the way cold before you can take it out. Okay, so, and then we're gonna release it. And it comes out, and we've pretty much got all the sides. See how pretty it looks? So here we are. We're gonna take it off the plate, and there you have the cheesecake.
I gotta tell y'all, not only can Sandy make spaghetti and meatballs and lasagna, I think she's the best baker I've ever seen in my life. I want y'all to look at these cookies she made. These are what they call cucinadas. It's an Italian fig cookie. My grandma Samperi, on her dying deathbed,
2 weeks before she
died. Sandy had the recipe, and she told Sandy, "You never give this recipe to anybody."
She grabbed me by my
And
arm.
Sandy, let's do one thing right now. Everybody in town, everybody wants to know this recipe. Why don't you go ahead and give the recipe out now and we can get it out of the bag.
Nope, it's not gonna happen. I love Mama too much. She made me that promise. Oh, I didn't get this recipe till I was like 40, okay? She wasn't, and it wasn't an easy day. She was so reluctant the day she taught me how to make the fig cookies.
Let me tell you something. Johnny Carrabba could offer her $1 million for that recipe. No way she's gonna do it. I'll tell you right now. She bakes these for the holidays. Here's some more of her cookies. Now what are these are the sand tarts?
There's the oatmeal sand tarts, the lemon meltaways.
Oh, these lemons are delicious.
And the chocolate cherriettes.
Now we're gonna cut the cheesecake?
We're gonna cut the cheesecake because I want y'all to see how beautiful this is. I should have a cutter, you know, I'll get that the next time I do it. Or it divides it out, but that's okay. We can get an idea. And if you really want some really good clean cuts of your cheesecake, you want to dip your knife in a glass of water. Oh, this is a dream for me. Sarah Lee, you need to make your cheesecakes a little bigger.
That's delicious. Very good, very good. Delicious. Oh, it's so moist. And that flavor too.
And you know.
And there you go. There you have it. Cheesecake,
cheesecake,
cucinadas, Italian cookies. It doesn't get any better than that. Honey, what time is it?
It's wine time. And you know I love my wine, right?
Yeah, she loves her wine.
Well, it's just wine.
Yeah.
What the heck?
2 or 3 more glasses and this cheesecake will be tasting real, real good.
I'm not
Oh, salute.
Salute
to Uncle Johnny Cash.
To Uncle Johnny Cash. We love you.
Thank you, Uncle Johnny. I learned a lot from you. Thank you.